The future of gun rights is uncertain after the largest gun forum on the planet was removed from the internet without explanation. This comes after Biden promised to defeat the NRA. AR15.com was deplatformed earlier this week by its host company GoDaddy. On Monday, the site was taken down without any explanation from the hosting platform. Instead, like we've seen so frequently, the president of AR15.com received a notice that his site violated GoDaddy's terms of service. The violations were, of course, never specified. The leaders at AR15.com quickly made a temporary URL so their users could continue to communicate and access their resources. However, they are currently searching for a permanent solution. This comes in conjunction with a series of other online sweeps where big tech companies are removing conservatives from their platforms. Joining me now to discuss is federal attorney and Republican strategist Vic Bajaj. Welcome back, Vic.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Great. So Biden says he wants to, quote, defeat the NRA. Should Americans take that as code of going after the Second Amendment these next 4 years?
I don't think there's much codification to analyze here. He's been very clear. Just go on his website and you'll see exactly what his plan is. It is to disarm the citizenry, make sure that legally held weapons by our citizens and law-abiding citizens of our fine country are taken back by the government, either through seizure, either through funding additional unnecessary investigations, classifying and reclassifying weapons that are now legal to be illegal, or even, of course, of what we heard, a buyback program. So it really isn't anything hidden here. It doesn't take too many layers of the onion to be peeled off to realize Biden wants to strengthen the ATF, which is the entity in charge of enforcing these firearms rules. And they're going to move very steadfastly, quickly, and hopefully on their behalf without interruption to sacrifice most of our constitutional rights, primarily the First Amendment, and of course dovetailing into the Second Amendment. No surprises here.
And to that point, when you go on the Biden-Harris campaign website and you look at some of their proposals, it includes stopping the online sale of ammo and weapons, going after the manufacturing of what they call assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Does this rub up against the Second Amendment? Can we trust the courts to step in here, or do you think Democrats are just going to ride all over the Constitution?
You know, it's a great question, and here in San Diego, California, we have a shining light, and that's one of our federal judges, Judge Benitez here, and he's really struck at the heart of that argument regarding primarily the high-capacity magazines for the weapons. At one point in time, ATF went about their business and said, well, these are illegal, and we're going to execute search warrants and harass law enforcement, law-abiding citizens to make sure we take these from their possession. But Judge Benitez issued a very, very methodical, as most of his decisions are, decision, and said, you know what, that's unconstitutional. You can't strip property away from law-abiding citizens without compensation, and surely high-capacity magazines for these weapons have been proven statistically with proven fact to protect those who are in need of defending themselves and their family members.
And as you were mentioning earlier, it seems like the ATF may be ramping up these efforts already with perhaps hiring as well, as many as 400 new agents.
Well, I mean, the party of defunding the police and making sure that all of the law enforcement entities around our fine union have been withered away as far as their power now touts a platform to strengthen the ATF. And this is an agency which, you know, some of us tread on very thin ice when we make comments about federal entities, but this is an entity with extraordinary egg on their face. From the 1970s in congressional hearings, I advise all of our viewers to look it up. From 1990s to the Ruby Ridge incident, David Koresh over in Waco, Texas. And of course, let's not forget about the recent history in 2008 under the Obama administration, arming violent cartel dealers in drugs, ammunition, weapons, and human beings with over 2,500 weapons for some sort of a investigation termed Fast and Furious. There's a lot of egg on their face, frankly, and they should be called to order to answer some of these acts of malfeasance. But instead, we have the Biden administration saying, here's a pat on the back. Why don't you hire 400 or more agents, and let's see if we can go out there and target some citizens of the United States.
I want to get your opinion on this because it appears to me that the debate these upcoming 4 years, it won't so much be a Second Amendment versus full-out gun control because you see there's too many high-raging emotions on both sides. It gets too heated in the political discourse. So it seems as though Democrats now have found backdoor ways to get what they want without the confrontation in the media. For example, as we were discussing earlier with the ATF, they had quietly proposed a new policy in which if you had an AR-15 style pistol with certain forearm braces, that you would have to register your gun with the ATF. That would be about 3 to 4 million gun owners currently would have to register with the ATF to have their guns checked out to make sure they meet the criteria. And if they didn't, they'd be taken away and they'd be dismantled and destroyed. And it also put a lot of manufacturers in limbo because there's a lot of manufacturers who create these braces and they wouldn't know if their braces, the ones that they specifically create, if it complies with the new policy or not. And it seems as if this is the backdoor way that they can get the gun registry and to knock down gun manufacturers as well without necessarily straight out going for it.
I couldn't agree with you more, and there isn't much cloak and dagger going on here. All it takes is a simple review of public and published documents to strengthen what you have just implied. There are no secrets here. There is a desire from the liberal left and the Democratic Party to have a gun registry. There is a desire from the same party to make sure the citizens are disarmed. And there is also a desire globally, frankly, to ignore fact. We would venture to guess that high-minded individuals who represent all of us in the United States would take the time to look at the facts and find out what the leading causes of death are. You know, the gun violence doesn't even account for any of the top 10, but surely suicide does. The focus has to be on mental health, and as a criminal defense practitioner for almost 20 years now, I can tell you that is a thorn in the side of a successful and peaceful society. We've ignored mental health issues for far too long, and it surely doesn't take a gun for an individual who's mentally compromised to hurt another individual, unfortunately. The focus is on the wrong place. If you look at the facts and the statistics, and we fight that urge to have headlines and attractive media headlines to gain viewers and to enrage emotion, we would come to a starkly different conclusion. And that conclusion would be it's important to allow law-abiding citizens to have the right to protect themselves.
Well said, Vic. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.